Hello and welcome to this short presentation on how to reference a book using the University of Wollongong's Harvard system of referencing. If you need to know where the UOW Harvard guide is, please go to the library page and down the right hand side you'll see that there's a number of options for you to click on, and one of them is referencing. If you click on referencing, you'll then get a screen somewhat similar to this, which indicates that you want UOW Harvard or AGLC or APA. Click on the UOW Harvard and then you get the screen that you're looking at here. Today we're looking at books, so you would need to click on books, which is darkened there on the left-hand side of the screen. And then we're going to have a look at a book with multiple authors. So you would tab onto the second tab along from the left, which is circled for you on the screen here. When you click on the tab that we were looking at on the previous slide, you would then get this screen come up, and it gives you an example of 3 authors for a single book. We're going to be focusing mostly on the reference list entry, and you can see here that they have 3 different authors here: Savage, Bagnall and Longhurst. The book that we're going to be using has more than 3 authors, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. Whether you have 1, 2 or 10 authors, in the reference list you include all of those authors' names. But the slide that we're looking at now is not for reference lists. This is for an in-text citation. If your book has 1, 2 or 3 authors, you put all of their names in, as the example is here, whether they're in parentheses or whether you're using the authors' names as part of your sentence. However, the example that we're looking at has, I think, 6 authors. Whenever you have 4 or more authors, you only use the name of the first one in the in-text citation. So we're going to be looking at a book on marketing principles with 6 authors, and the first author on the list is Armstrong. So your in-text citation would be Armstrong et al. 2018. Or if you wanted to use it as part of the sentence, Armstrong et al. With 2018 in brackets. This difference between the number of authors, again, only matters when you're doing the in-text citation. For the actual reference list entry, you name all of them, whether there are 2 or 20. So the pattern that we need to follow in order to reference a book is to start with the author's name, and each author is listed. Don't change the sequence of the author's names from the sequence that appears on the book. If the book starts with somebody whose name is Zepke, followed by somebody whose name is Armstrong, you start the reference list with Zepke and then you list Armstrong. Don't change the sequence of the names of the authors from that provided by your book. So we would have first author, second author and third author with the year, title of the book, name of publisher, place of publication. So that starts to look like first author, family name, comma, initial, second author, family name, comma, and third author, family name, comma, initial. The year the book is published and the title of the book in italics, and only the first letter is capitalised. The name of the publisher and where the book was published. So yours would look as is now at the bottom of the screen, because you wouldn't be doing the underlining that I've just used to indicate the various sections of the reference list entry. Sometimes you can find some of the information about a book by looking at the library catalogue listing, and sometimes you can't. In this instance, the book that we're looking at has 6 authors, and yet for reasons of convenience, the library catalogue only lists 1. You can see after the slash, where it says title, principles of marketing, after the slash, it actually is starting to list all of their names there. But you don't have their initials, which means you do have to go to the book to have a look for those. But it does tell us that it was published in Melbourne, and that's useful information and saves you looking elsewhere. And it tells us that it was published in 2018. So here we have a look at the front of the book, and you can see that we've got here the title of the book, Principles of Marketing, and we've got the name of all of the authors, and we've got the publisher, and the 7E on the top right-hand corner is referring to the 7th edition of this book. I need the initials of each of those authors, and I couldn't find that in the library catalogue, and I couldn't find it on the front of the book. But when I looked inside the book, there was a dedication that each author has written, and as they've written it, they've indicated their first names. So this was where I found the initials for the reference list entry. Now, we did find the name of the publisher and the place that it was published by looking in the catalogue entry. But you can see that that information is also provided here, and just underneath that it tells us that the Pearson Australian office was in Melbourne. So this information is usually on one of the inside covers, one of the inside pages early in the piece. So now that you have found all of the information that you need for this reference list entry by looking at the library catalogue if you wanted to, the front cover of the book, the dedications by the authors to their family and friends, which gave us their first names that we needed for the initials, and the small print on the inside page at the beginning of the book, sometimes called the frontispiece, you can now put this reference list entry together. So we have author's name, first author, Armstrong G. Second author, Adam S. Third author, Denise S. Fourth author, Volkov M. And the final author, Kotler P. The year of publication. Then we have the title of the book in italics with only the first word capitalised. Then we have that it's the 7th edition. We then know who the publisher was, Pearson's, and we know that it was published in Melbourne, Australia. And please note that the first line of this reference list entry is left justified, but that the second line is indented. This is called a hanging indent and is commonly used in many reference list systems. Thank you.